Hello and welcome to a Wonder Care podcast. I'm Sheena Mitchell, pharmacist and mum of 3. I combine healthcare and practical advice to support you on your parenting journey. This week, I'm speaking all about children's multivitamins. It is definitely one of the most common questions that I get through Wonder Care. I get asked, do my kids need vitamins? And if they do, which ones? It is no wonder that there's so much confusion. If you walk into a pharmacy, you see many brightly coloured, child-friendly looking vitamins on the shelf. It can make it very difficult to make a decision based on actual fact rather than the clever marketing of their manufacturers. In fact, I've seen many cases where, a parent will come in with their child and the child will pick the prettiest vitamin or one that has a character that they like on it or one that looks like a sweet. It is for this reason, I believe, that this topic sometimes becomes a little controversial. Health mixed with marketing is generally not a great mix. But for me, standing back, it makes no sense to make a decision based on a dislike of marketing practices or equally on a paranoia about your child's health. It has to be based on fact. Because of the amount of information needed to make a decision on whether or not your child needs a multivitamin, and then if so, which multivitamin should you give them, I've decided to break this episode into 2 sections. One, you're listening to now, and that will give you an outline of whether or not your child needs a multivitamin by explaining the roles of all the different essential vitamins and supplements, giving a guideline on how much is a good amount to be consuming, and also where you can get these nutrients through your diet. The second episode of this vitamin series will be released on Friday, which is 22nd of September. So that just gives you a couple of days to digest the information from episode 1. In episode 2, I'm going to talk about all of the different brands of multivitamin that you will find on the shelves in your local pharmacy. And we're going to look at exactly where their strengths and weaknesses lie. I'll explain through case studies how different brands might suit different children depending on their dietary requirements. So yes, there's a lot of information in this episode, but I do think it's really important for parents to empower themselves to understand the role of the different multivitamins and the different nutrients. And that way you can then make an informed decision based on your own child's needs. So I really hope you enjoy listening to episode 1 and do join me on episode 2 on Friday, where I will review the Irish pharmacy brands and also answer the case studies that came in through my Instagram. Enjoy the episode. Before I dive right into this podcast, I just want to highlight results of a poll that I put up the other day. So one of the questions that I asked was, do you think that your child needs a multivitamin? And 64% said yes, 14% said no, and 22% are unsure. And I think that kind of summarises the market, and we all know that potentially our children aren't eating a full balanced diet, whether it's to the level that we need to supplement them or not. We're not 100% sure. The next question was, do you find it confusing to choose a multivitamin? And here lies the biggest problem. 85% said yes. For those 85%, this is the podcast for you. We're going to strip it bare. We're going to remove all of the marketing and we're going to just make it hopefully understandable and provide you with tools that you can use and print out at home. I'll explain that more in a minute. And reference when you're trying to research and choose the correct multivitamin for your child. Last question that I asked was, do you know the signs of vitamin deficiency in kids? And 84% said no. 16% said yes. I think for 84% of people, it's very understandable to not be sure of signs of vitamin deficiency and what they may look like. And I'll explain what true deficiency is in this episode. It's very normal for you not to be aware of them. And hopefully I can highlight some of the main things to look out for and some actions that you can take if you fear a vitamin deficiency in your child. Before I start, I want to say that yes, I do sell multivitamins. After all, I own a pharmacy. And this podcast and brand has existed for the past decade because I've been providing free information online so that people can have sensible, accessible healthcare advice for their families. But the sale of multivitamins is not my primary business. However, I still want to make sure that I'm being honest and I'm giving full disclosure. So absolutely, I could be accused of having bias as a pharmacist. But if you know my brand and where the Wondercare brand came from, and you know me, then you'll know that I would not sell anything to make a quick buck. For 10 years, I've been writing about health and always answering questions in private messages, etc. My agenda is health promotion. It's one that I'm passionate about. I also want to say that this podcast is not supported in any way by any particular brand of multivitamin. I have absolutely no bias on a choice of multivitamin brand. For me, I'm probably in a good place to pick out which ones are the strongest and to highlight the strengths and weaknesses, because actually I sell them all. So really, if I was being cynical, I wouldn't care which one you buy. But I do care, and that's why I want to talk about it. My opinion on whether or not your child needs a multivitamin is actually very neutral, and it comes from my own personal lived experience as a pharmacist and as a mother of 3. In this podcast, I will provide you with clear and factual information that you need to make your own personal decision on if your child needs a multivitamin or not. Only you know your child and your family's specific set of circumstances. Often sweeping comments and statements are made about multivitamins being useless and that your diet alone is enough to sustain optimal health. And yes, absolutely, in an ideal world, your diet should be all you need. And it's also true that vitamins and minerals absorbed from your diet are superior to supplements because they also provide things like carbohydrates, fats, calories and fibre that aren't included in one little tablet a day. However, as a parent of 3 children myself, and after 20 years of working as a community pharmacist, I am certain that many children fall short on a significant level of vitamin and minerals in their daily intake. This can be for many reasons, such as fussiness, sensory issues, developmental dislikes and aversions, and only you, the parent, knows your child's day-to-day diet. For others, it can be down to chronic illness or malabsorption disorders, such as celiac disease, which my own daughter has, along with an estimated 50,000 people in Ireland, including 1 to 2 of every 100 children in our population, whether they're diagnosed or not. These kids have damaged villi, which are little hair-like structures on the gut wall that help to provide a surface area, which enables minerals and vitamins to be absorbed from the diet. In children affected with celiac disease, whether they're diagnosed or not, these villi are flattened and non-functional, and so your child will experience a restricted intake of vitamins and minerals. Maybe blame our Viking heritage? Whether celiac or not, we know that children can go through difficult phases where they absolutely refuse certain food types. So yes, I do think children are different. And I do think a parent is the only person who should be deciding whether or not their child needs a multivitamin. There is no one rule for everybody. But do bear in mind that just because you're getting the correct levels of vitamins and minerals does not make you healthy. A balanced diet is always best. I am by profession a pharmacist, but by nature an empathetic mother. And I really hope that this podcast blends those two worlds, as I have done to try and make healthcare more interesting and understandable. And I want you to be in a position to look at your own child's diet and to look at the different products available and to understand which minerals and nutrients that you specifically want to supplement your child with. So let's get started. For this particular podcast, I have produced 2 charts. Now, that doesn't sound very helpful for a podcast when all you're doing is hearing me. But if you would like a copy of these 2 charts in PDF format, I'll be putting a sign up link on my Instagram and Facebook pages this week at wondercare_IRL. You can also private message me for this link at any stage over the next year and I'll pass it on to you. So don't worry if you're a little bit late listening to this podcast. One of the charts details the reference intake for multivitamin and minerals. Reference intake replaced guideline daily amounts, which used to appear on food labels, etc. It's basically a total of your daily requirement for each mineral and vitamin between your dietary and supplement intake. So that's taking your diet and supplementary intake together and giving you the total amount of what you should have. These levels have actually been set by European law and they're based on an average size person doing an average amount of physical activity. They are in no way a target to consume, but they're more of a benchmark to help you make healthy dietary choices and to balance daily intakes.
In essence, it gives you an idea on good levels of vitamin and mineral absorption. On that particular chart, I've highlighted 4 vitamins which are fat soluble. This is really important, and if nothing else, this is the takeaway point for the day.
I am delighted to partner with one of my all-time favourite products, Saline Plus. This is the world's first 100% natural dry salt therapy device. It's clinically proven to relieve a wide variety of allergens and respiratory conditions. This salt therapy method has been trusted for generations and has become hugely popular worldwide as more and more people recognise the superb results achieved from a natural and non-invasive method. This device will help you breathe easier and sleep better. Fat-soluble vitamins are stored in your body after they have been absorbed. So non-fat soluble or water soluble vitamins just get excreted. So you just pee them out. Anything that you don't use, your body just excretes. But for fat soluble ones, they are stored. And these are ones that you need to be particularly aware of because you can actually overdose on them. These vitamins are vitamin A, D, E, and K. So you will see them highlighted and indicated that these are fat soluble. And you definitely need to have a look at your whole child's diet, looking at things like fortified milks and cereals, etc., for making a decision to supplement. So, as I said there, other than vitamins A, D, E, and K, the rest of the vitamins and minerals are just excreted. So many people have said before, and I would be inclined to agree, that taking excess vitamins and minerals that you don't need is basically buying expensive urine. I have to agree with that. It's also important to say that by taking vitamins which aren't fat soluble, so you're not going to overdose on them, you'll just excrete them, taking too high levels of those can actually cause gastrointestinal upset and things like diarrhea if they're taken in more than their tolerated limits. So it is always a good idea to stick to the manufacturer's guidance. The doses recommended for multivitamins are determined by considering the amount that an average person of that age is already getting in their diet and then adding to that in a safe way through a supplement. So by sticking to the recommended intake, you're not going to overdose your child. Another thing to point out is that in general, vitamin deficiency is not common, particularly a severe deficiency. So falling a little bit short on some vitamins is often not life or death. So you can ask the question, why bother with them? But as you can see in my chart, which outlines all of the different functions of these vitamins and all of the benefits that they provide your body with, they really play a valuable role. And I personally, as a mother and as a pharmacist, cannot see why aiming for optimal health is a negative thing when you're doing it in a safe way. There is evidence to support the benefits of all of these vitamins and minerals that are in my chart. There is no marketing happening here. I've made a list of the reference intakes, which is based on EU law for all vitamins and minerals. I've given the information on natural sources and the benefits of those different vitamins. I'm going to talk a bit more about vitamins, but the other chart is one that I have made which shows all the main different multivitamin products that you might find in an Irish pharmacy. These include Abidec Drops, Abidec Advanced Syrup, Active Immune Kids, Centrum for Children, Junior Revive, Vitabiotics Well Baby, WellKid Chewable and WellKid Immune Chewable, as well as WellKid Soft Jelly Pastils and the WellKid Peppa Pig Multivitamin. One more thing that I want to point out before I move on is that if you have a baby who's under 6 months of age and still on formula and they're getting over 500 mils of formula, the only vitamin that your child needs is vitamin D. They're already getting adequate vitamin A from their formula. And so supplementing a child under 6 months who's getting 500 mils of formula could lead to an excessive level of vitamin A. So it's not recommended. I'm going to try and keep this part relatively short and punchy because I don't want to just read charts at you. So I'm going to give you a little highlight of all of the main vitamins and minerals that are in multivitamin products in Ireland and what they do, because actually understanding their role in your body's physiological function is really helpful in deciding whether it's something that you feel strongly about optimizing in your child's health. And then you're able to go and check the products on the chart and see which one offers the best levels of that particular vitamin or mineral. First of all, vitamin A.
So vitamin A is found in cheese, eggs, oily fish, milk, yogurts, liver and fortified spreads. I'm laughing at this list. And yeah, eating liver certainly not been something that any of my children have experienced. Anyway, it's a good idea actually to think about your child's diet as I list the foods that these are found in. And you can maybe make a note of vitamins that you think you're not hitting. But vitamin A is really important for a child's immune system. And it also benefits their vision and their skin health. Vitamin B, well, there is a lot of different kinds of vitamin B out there. So vitamin B1 is also known as thiamine, and you can get that in your diet through peas, bananas, oranges, nuts, whole grain bread, and again, liver. It helps to support your nervous system health, and it also helps to release energy from food. So this is common in the B vitamins. They play a really important job in supporting the release of energy from food. Nicotinamide and niacin are both names for vitamin B3, and they can be found in meat, fish, wheat, flour and eggs. They help again to support your nervous system and release energy from food. It's the same with vitamin B6. It also helps you to use and store energy, and it's found in pork, poultry, oats, bananas, milk, peanuts. And vitamin B12 can be found in meat, fish, milk, cheese, eggs, and it's actually really important because it's needed for red cell production. So basically, with the B vitamins, you're seeing a theme. They're all really important in energy release. B7 is slightly different because it's involved in the production of fatty acids, and it's really, really unclear how to get a dietary source of vitamin B7. But it is thought that the bacteria in your bowel make biotin. So I suppose in the case of vitamin B7, having good gut flora would be helpful, but I'm going to talk about probiotics another day, so I won't get bogged down in that now. But it is interesting that your gut bacteria can actually help to produce vitamins. So in summary, B vitamins, a child would need to be eating regular meat, fish, eggs, poultry, bananas, things like mushroom, liver, fortified cereals to be getting adequate amounts. And that might be absolutely fine for some children. But I know that not every child will have an abundance of these in their diet at all times of their life. So if you feel like your child isn't getting enough of these particular foods and their energy is low, then it might be worth taking a little note that vitamin B might be something that you want to have included in your supplements. Next up is vitamin C. Vitamin C is like the famous vitamin. It's the popular one. Everyone knows it's found in citrus fruits. It's also found in peppers in high levels, which is interesting. Strawberries, broccoli and potatoes. Things like citrus fruits and strawberries can be appealing to children, so hopefully a lot of children will get what they need from their diet. But if your child's completely averse to fruit and veg, as many of you have given me feedback they may not be getting adequate amounts. And we do know that vitamin C has a really important role in immune health and wound healing and in the formation of cells and blood vessels. And it's also important for bone and skin health. It has been debunked that it will keep a cold away, but there is some evidence that it can help to reduce symptoms of a cold if they occur. So fruit and veg are definitely a no-go area for your child. Vitamin C is a good idea. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is recommended by the HSE at a dose of 5 micrograms for children aged 1 to 4 years of age, and 10 micrograms for children 5 to 11 years of age, and 15 micrograms for children 12 and over. The problem with vitamin D is that there are only tiny amounts to be had through dietary intake. They can be found in eggs, oily fish, red meat and some fortified foods. But it gets its name as the sunshine vitamin because our biggest source of vitamin D is sunlight. Vitamin D is essential for bone, teeth and muscle health. And it is definitely a good idea to have your child on vitamin D as per the HSE guidelines. Even in the summer months, we don't absorb enough vitamin C. And let's be honest, it's not like our weather is very dependable for being out in it. And the other thing is that with young kids, it's not like you want to encourage them to be sunbathing. Get out there now and oil yourself up and get your vitamin D. No. So a supplement is needed, and this can be gotten on its own without any other vitamins in the same product. So if it's just vitamin D, then there are vitamin D products available in forms like drops or chewable tablets. But remember, vitamin D is one of those fat-soluble vitamins and you can overdose on it. Next up, we have vitamin E. So vitamin E is another fat-soluble one, something that you don't want to overdo. But it's mainly present in plant oils, so rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, olive oil, and also in nuts and seeds. Vitamin E actually plays a really understated and valuable role in immune health, and it's also really good for maintaining healthy skin and eyes. So this, again, is one that you may want to have included in a supplement. Next, we have vitamin K. So vitamin K is the last of the fat-soluble vitamins. It's present in green leafy veg, vegetable oils, and also in cereal grains. It plays a really important role in blood clotting and wound healing, as well as bone health. Again, with this one, just remember not to overdo it. Stick to the recommended amount and you can't go wrong. Well, I say you can't go wrong, but actually, just to highlight, if you have particularly an adult, perhaps with that one, who might be taking warfarin for blood thinning, vitamin K can interact with certain medicines. So if it's for an adult, and this is just a general sidebar, but if it's for an adult and you are looking at taking a multivitamin and it has vitamin K in it, do confirm with your pharmacist that it's safe for you to take. So let them know what other medication that you're taking. And the same goes for any children with any blood clotting disorders. Next up is folic acid. So folic acid is found in dark leafy veg, beans, nuts, seeds, oranges, eggs, and whole grains. And folic acid is really important for red cell production and also for nerve health. So moving on, we have magnesium. Magnesium is one that often gets overlooked. But actually, if your child is very active and doing a lot of sport and it's warm outside and they're sweating a lot, they may have depleted levels of magnesium. We know that we really deplete our magnesium stores when we're exercising heavily. So for active kids, that is definitely something to be aware of. Magnesium can be found in spinach, nuts, and wholemeal bread. Magnesium is really important because it helps you to convert your food to energy. Another one is manganese, and this is in bread, nuts, and again in green veg and whole grain cereal. Manganese provides enzyme support, which also helps to break down food. Then, of course, we have iron. We all know that iron is present in red meat, but it is also in beans, nuts, dried fruits like dried apricots, which again, be careful with children. I did have a child nearly choke on dried apricot, which was absolutely terrifying. And it's also in fortified cereals. Iron is really, really important because it's involved in making red blood cells. This is what helps to carry oxygen around our bodies. You need to have sufficient iron levels to prevent anemia. I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Next up, we have zinc. So zinc's role is to make new cells and enzymes. Well, to assist in making new cells and enzymes. I won't give it all the credit. It does have a role in wound healing and also in the breakdown of carbohydrates, which we know that we need for energy. Zinc can be found in meat, shellfish, dairy, bread, and wheat germ. After that, we have copper. Copper can be found in nuts, shellfish, and offal. You're seeing a vibe with me here. I was a vegetarian for 5 years, so I really struggle with things like offal and liver. Anyway, it's important for red and white blood cell production. It's also important for brain development and the immune system. So we do know that we need copper. And I'm just saying that shellfish and offal aren't big dietary rock stars in our house. Don't know about you, but my kids aren't going to eat them. After that, we have selenium. Selenium is present in Brazil nuts, fish, meat, and eggs. And it's, again, really important for immune health. And it also helps to protect cells and tissues. After that, then, we have one that is becoming more popular, which is chromium. And I think it's becoming more popular as people understand its role a bit more. And that is that it helps to regulate blood sugars. It assists with the breakdown of fats and carbohydrates. Chromium can be found in meat, nuts, cereals, egg yolks, and most fruits, actually. Iodine. So iodine can be found in sea fish and shellfish. Iodine is important for thyroid health and for metabolic health. So they are all of the main vitamins and minerals. I hope it's a little bit clearer now why there's always so many ingredients listed on the back of the box of your multivitamins. Do remember that some of the multivitamin products will only contain 2 or 3 of these ingredients, and some of the multivitamins will contain a whole lot more. There's also varying levels and amounts of each type of vitamin in each product. Anyway, so all of that information with the reference intakes of each of those vitamins and minerals, along with the natural sources and also the benefits for your body, are in that PDF. So just sign up to the link if you want that. And actually, I'll pop the link in the podcast show notes so that you can get it that way too. Having that chart makes it a lot less overwhelming. Like, you could actually print that chart off and go in to the pharmacy and look at the back of the boxes and go, what's that for? Oh yes, I see that that's for nervous system health and energy. I think I'd like that. It makes more of a shopping list of it, and it allows you to ignore the product marketing. It allows you to be informed and have one little sheet there that will just tell you everything that you need to know. Because it's not easy to be able to say what magnesium, zinc, copper, selenium, chromium, biotin, all the different B vitamins, A, D, E and K, what they actually do. So you will now know what they do, how much of them your child should be having in their diet, and then you'll be able to see natural sources. So you'll be able to think about your child's normal day and go, do they eat a lot of peppers or fruit and veg, or are they just terrible at eating meat and eggs and things like that? You can literally tailor your choice based on your own child. And that is the goal of this podcast. I thought it would be a good idea to understand the signs of vitamin deficiency. As I said earlier, we're very privileged. We live in the developed world. Severe deficiencies are rare, and it's not common for children to be extremely deficient to the point of danger. So for me, talking about vitamins often comes down to optimizing health as a parent, and that's something that you have a choice to do. And, it might be a phase that your child goes through where they won't eat any meat, and then a few months later they may start eating it again, and then you might be able to drop the multivitamin depending on their overall diet. But I think choice is everything. Just before I go into the signs of deficiency, again, just to highlight that vitamin D should really be a non-negotiable. It is a HSE recommendation, so do just bear that in mind. Okay, so on to the signs and symptoms of vitamin and mineral deficiencies. I'm not going to go into too many of the symptoms of severe deficiency of each vitamin, because this is something that will likely be picked up by your GP, because you will notice symptoms. So things like a severe lack of energy, or very pale skin, or being very irritable or fussy. Your child might suffer from pain in the bones or muscles, can have problems with their sight, have skin issues and developmental and growth issues. Sometimes people, for example, magnesium, might get eye twitches or calf cramps. But to be honest, if your child is suffering from any significant symptoms or any symptoms that are concerning you, I would definitely recommend seeing the GP and not thinking that a regular multivitamin is going to be the solution to your problem, because it's important to get checked out for underlying diseases and find out exactly what's going on. In general, a lack of B vitamins will lead to slower release of energy from food. So might have a very kind of tired child. It's the same with magnesium, that can cause tiredness as well, but also poor sleep, headaches, bit of restlessness. And there is a link between zinc and cognitive development. So any kind of deficit in your child's activity, their motor development, things like that. But again, in a lot of cases, you're going to go to the doctor about this just to rule out any serious illness. So when you look at multivitamins, you really have to think of them as a way of optimizing health and not treating a disease. A severe deficiency in any of the multivitamins or minerals should be considered a disease state, really. It should be considered by a medical professional. And, you're not going to be able to determine your child's full blood status and nutrient levels yourself. So it's okay to maybe supplement a child who's a bit tired and lacking in energy. It's absolutely okay to try a multivitamin that has all of the vitamin B's in them and even magnesium if they're just a little bit tired and run down. And the vitamin A and vitamin C and vitamin E can help a little bit with immune support if they're deficient as well. Then you might have a child who's not eating any meat or green leafy veg. And in that case, you're looking out for symptoms like paleness, irritable behaviour, a lack of energy, that kind of thing, which might indicate slightly lower than optimal iron levels. But all of the various nutrients that I've spoken about do play an important role in the body's physiological function. So if your child is missing any particular food group, then you should look at the chart, assess, are they going to be missing out on valuable sources of a particular mineral and vitamin? And then you have a choice to make on whether you want to support their reference intake. So that's their dietary intake plus their supplement intake by using a multivitamin. I mean, a lot of people would like to take something with vitamin C and zinc to help ensure that their child's immune system is functioning well if they don't consume a lot of citrus fruits or red peppers or even bread and dairy, things like that might have zinc in them. It is important to remember that vitamin A and vitamin E also have a role in immune health. It might be worth looking at those particular sets of vitamins. And if your child is very pale and you feel like they don't eat a lot of meat and you want to support their health, you might also want the product that you're using to include iron, because not all multivitamins do. So that's something to be aware of. The whole point of this is that it totally depends on your child's dietary intake. They may need no supplementation, or you just simply might not feel strongly enough about reaching those reference intake levels because, as I said, they are not targets. They are just a guideline for optimal health. So if your child isn't displaying any symptoms of deficiency or you feel they're bouncing full of energy and they're thriving, well, that is absolutely great. So you don't need to take a multivitamin in a lot of cases. So I want to make that really clear. But if you want to optimize your child's health, that's a choice you can make too. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if after listening to this episode and hearing the different food groups where the vitamins and nutrients can be found, you feel like you would like to start your child on a multivitamin or supplement, then Friday's episode is for you. In Friday's episode, I will run through all the different multivitamins that you will see on the shelf in your community pharmacy. And don't worry, I have another chart. I have a chart that basically lays out all of the essential vitamins and minerals and compares the values in each product. Because a box, as we have discussed, may have amazing marketing. It may promise you the earth, moon and stars. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, it just might be lacking. Some products are great at listing 15 different ingredients, but the levels of ingredients in those products are not adequate. Every brand has a different approach, and I'm determined to make it really, really clear for you to make a choice without being blinded by the marketing. Let's keep it factual, people. And remember, if you choose not to give your child a multivitamin, that's okay too. Just have a look at the chart and try and make sure that you're hitting the main food groups that are needed for optimal health. Some children love a varied diet, but as I found out through my Instagram poll, not every child is like that. And it is for those children that it might be worth considering a multivitamin. I'll talk to you Friday. Thank you so much for listening, and do please rate and review and share this podcast. It's a really big help. Thank you.